Welcome to Speechbox. I'm Jeremy Hirsch. As Stephen Amell would say, fuck cancer. This week, what we're going to be talking about is the CW is doing Flash vs. Arrow, or as the interwebs are calling it, Flaro. Damn you, why do you guys have to ship everything? We're shooting the show on a Wednesday evening, so far the first episode of Flash vs. Arrow has aired, and that was Tuesday night at 8 in Flash's show, aptly called Flash vs. Arrow for the episode. The show introduced Rainbow Raider, who, much like in the comics, they did actually redub as Prism, but they did make the Rainbow Raider reference. Thank you, Caitlin Snow character on that show. Basically utilizing color to influence emotion. Oliver was sort of guest starring on the show with Felicity and Diggle to research murders in Starling City at the hands of a well-placed boomerang. There may be a captain involved in that. But Flash had been exposed to those powers of Prism and was suffering from rage. So who better to take down the Flash than the Green Arrow? So that's where that premise sort of comes off from. It was a really good episode. There was a lot of nods to a lot of things. There was a great interaction where Barry's super excited, is talking to Oliver about, Captain Cold and taking him down, and Oliver's just dismissing it like, no one cares what you name your villains, bro. And Barry sort of retorted with, yeah, like Huntress and Deathstroke. So there was good just sort of meta humor in terms of what you have going on in superhero shows with villain naming and training and different characteristics of what they go through. Speaking of the training sessions, there was a lot of Oliver trying to teach Barry, yeah, you have superpowers and that's all well and good, but how prepared are you in terms of fighting in different environments and using your brains? Because obviously that's how Arrow has to fight. We'll talk a little bit about that later. I actually have a guest on the show tonight, so that's exciting. And then the second episode of Flash vs. Arrow is going to take place. You'll hopefully have seen it by this episode, but Flash and company will be in Starling City helping Oliver out, and we'll actually get an introduction. We got a little bit of them in the last episode of Arrow, but we'll actually get to see Digger Harkness, Captain Boomerang. So that'll be that character debut on the show. So that's really, really exciting to see that portrayal, and that's sort of going to hopefully flesh out more of the Rogues Gallery as Captain Boomerang is a Flash villain. And also, Boomerang is actually a member of the Suicide Squad as well, a very known member of the Suicide Squad. So that's pretty exciting. So there is that balance between the two shows with that character where he could easily appear. With that, we're going to roll into point counterpoint, so to speak. We're going to have Flash vs. Arrow on Speechbox tonight. I'm Team Ollie, bro. I'm going to bring out my guest, professional cosplayer John Hogrefe, Captain Hyperbole. So we're going to have Flash vs. Arrow. Let me introduce you, John Hogrefe. John, thank you for coming on Speechbox. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So if the fans want to see any pictures of your cosplays or anything, what website can they go to check you out?
It's www.facebook.com/Captain Hyperbole. No spaces or anything like that.
Fair enough. I'll put that in the description so fans can check out your cosplay as well.
Of course.
So like I was saying, setting this up, in the spirit of things, we're going to do a little bit of Flash vs. Arrow. With that, John, how's Barry going to take down Ollie in a fight? How's Barry going to beat the Green Arrow?
There are several ways he could take him down. As far as it being a show and they have to write one resolution to it, most likely, unpredictability is going to be a huge factor. Anybody can tell you, Oliver's experienced. He has all this experience under his belt. Batman excuses. But the thing is, based on how they set up why the fight's happening in the first place, we can't guarantee Flash is ever truly in control of his powers, and there will be lots of, elements from that he can't predict, plan for, or make traps for, or anything of the sort. Also, I'd say the other thing is, while Oliver, again, has the experience and successes under his belt, raw ability. Oliver hasn't gone against anything like the Flash. just a bunch of psychotic people with irrational problems, or they strictly depend on having an advantage through personally knowing Oliver or something about his past. This is just, I'm smarter than you, and I'm way faster than you could dream a human to be kind of thing. So, very unlikely in a straight-up fight.
I would say kudos to you, but in the words of Oliver Queen, you have failed this city. Don't ever discount experience. I would say I concede to your point that he has no real experience with metahumans. On season 2 of Arrow, we were dealing with people fueled by sort of the miracle drug Mirakuru, boosting their physical attributes, strengths, and powers. So Oliver was put in a situation where there was a great unknown. There was no real expectation of what was going to happen, and yet still he was able to, on his feet, come up with ways to get out of that, to defeat the Mirakuru soldiers. He was able to defeat Slade Wilson, who he had a deep personal connection with from his time on the island, who was not in his right mind from that drug as well. So he was already a tremendous fighter, someone on Oliver's level, if not exceeding him, with that power boost, and Oliver was still able to come up with a way to take him down. And I would say, I know Batman excuse, but when you don't have powers and when you're sort of, put out on the fly, Oliver so far has demonstrated his ability to work whatever environment he's in, sort of just on the fly. He does not have Barry's level of just book smarts and intellect, but he is able to use everything around to his advantage. Definitely not going for the kill. That's not his MO as of recent, but it would suggest, and based on what we've seen and his experience, that certainly could hopefully incapacitate Mr. Allen. So I would say he has that, going for him. Both have, tremendous teams and backup that, influence their actions in terms of Team Arrow with Diggle and Felicity, and Barry with the Star Labs crew. But, taking those out of the equation, just on ingenuity's sake, including that experience and including the preparation, I gotta go with the Hood, the Vigilante, Starling City's own Green Arrow. John, I want to thank you again for stopping by with us.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm glad you're a friend of the show.
Yeah, anytime you want me to come back and tell you you're wrong,
This guy. The closing Broment of the week is actually going to be a wonderful collection of videos that you guys sent in preparation for the week that is Flash vs. Arrow. I think we can agree to disagree on our characters, but I think the universal disdain on the phrase and ship of Flaro is shared, would it not?
I don't know. When it comes to superhero showdowns, Flaro could be my OTP.
Goodness gracious. Thank you guys for joining us. Always be a fan, and check out these videos.
Flash would win every time in a battle with Green Arrow, only because of this pure fact that it's a metahuman versus a regular human. However, Green Arrow could win if he held out long enough and drained Flash's energy. He might stand a chance then.
Flash versus the Arrow? Flash would win hands down. By the time I record this video, the Flash would have beaten Oliver Queen senseless.
I think the Arrow will win because he has the training and the honed skills and the arsenal needed to defeat the Flash. But it's going to be a close fight.
The Flash would beat the Green Arrow because he runs really fast, obviously, and would probably unarm the Green Arrow by the time he tries to find an arrow, and would probably beat him up with his fist.
Alright, Mr. Hirsch, I'm a little drunk, so don't mind the slurring. But, in this case, I'm pretty sure they're going to end this one in a tie. So as not to make any fans mad, but if they actually got into a fight, pretty sure the Arrow would win. He has more experience and a better bag of tricks right now. Yeah, the Flash is quick and all, but the Arrow has dealt with metahumans before in a sense, with Deathstroke. He's all amped up on super juice, and it's kind of the same thing.
Alrighty, Flash versus Arrow. I'm talking Barry versus Ollie. I'm going to go ahead and side with Ollie. Ollie's got the experience under his belt, man. I mean, Barry's got the speed, but he's still pretty wet behind the ears, man. And as we all know, Ollie's been doing this for a good while now. And I really think that his experience, his time fighting Deathstroke, who was the closest to metahuman that the Arrowverse has really seen, versus Barry's still pretty fresh and getting smacked around a little bit before he really defeats his guys, whereas Arrow really comes up against guys, figures it out, and then beats them mostly almost to death. So yeah, let's go ahead and side with Ollie.